It's been 6 years since we lost the Aegir. Most people don't talk about it anymore. Classified, they say. Buried under government silence and scientific denials. But I was there. I survived. And I'm tired of pretending it was just an accident, a systems failure. It wasn't. Something was down there. Something waiting. And I swear to God, I still hear it calling when I close my eyes at night. We were part of a deep-sea research mission. 5 of us aboard a specialized submersible vessel designed to reach the Hadal Zone, down past 36,000 feet, to the very bottom of the Mariana Trench. We were tasked with gathering seismic data, analyzing microbial life, and running stress tests on the new alloy that made up the Aegir's hull. On the surface, it was a scientific expedition, but there were whispers, rumors that the Navy had detected something strange, movement far below the known tectonic shifts, something massive and irregular. It was Dr. Rivas who first hinted at it. She was head of biology on board, brilliant but always quiet, always watching the deep with a look that suggested she understood something the rest of us didn't. The ocean doesn't hide secrets, she told me once. It just waits until we're foolish enough to go looking for them. We descended slower than I expected. As the sunlit waters faded to twilight and then blackness, I remember how the lights from our vessel seemed so weak, like candles in a cave. The silence became louder the deeper we went. No whale calls, no creaking ice, no shifting currents, just an absence, a stillness that felt intentional. Around 25,000 feet, we lost our connection with the surface vessel. At first, it was chalked up to interference, dense water pressure or tectonic interference. But then the instruments began to glitch. The sonar displayed erratic pulses, blips that moved like they were alive, like they were watching us. Riva stared at the monitor, her hand slowly clenching around the edge of her console. "It's moving," she whispered. "It's pacing us." The others laughed it off. Commander Lewis, our pilot, assured us everything was under control. But his knuckles stayed white on the controls. When we reached the bottom, deeper than any manned dive had officially recorded, we saw it, not at first. First came the structure. It looked natural, a jagged rise of obsidian-colored rock, but too symmetrical, like a spire or a tower. The cameras picked up what looked like markings, etched spirals and lines that didn't match any known geological formation. And then, just beyond it, we saw the shape. It didn't move. It didn't need to. It just was. A mass of darkness, darker than the water around it. At first, we thought it was a shadow cast by our lights, but the light didn't touch it. It bent around it, the way heat bends air above a flame. It had eyes, or at least points of focus. I felt them fix on me through the reinforced glass. It felt like being dissected by thought. My skin prickled, my throat tightened, and then the sound came. You can't call it a noise, not exactly. It was like a pressure in your skull, a deep vibration that rattled behind the bones of your ears. We all heard it. Lewis gripped his head, groaning. Carter, our engineer, started mumbling the Lord's Prayer under his breath. Rivas just stared, transfixed. The lights dimmed, flickered. Then the control panel started failing. One by one, our systems went dark. I remember screaming that we had to ascend, that we weren't meant to be there. That thing, whatever it wasn't asleep. It had been waiting, and we had just rung the bell. Lewis tried to reverse thrusters, but the Aegir wouldn't respond. We weren't moving. Something was holding us in place. Not a mechanical fault, something external. The water around us wasn't water anymore. It pressed like fingers against the hull. It gripped. Then Reva stood up, calmly, deliberately. She walked to the back hatch and began entering the manual override code. We all shouted at her. Carter tried to stop her, but she moved with strength that didn't seem human. She turned to us, and her eyes, they weren't her eyes. They were deep and black and impossibly wide. "It remembers," she said. "It never forgets." And then she opened the hatch. It should have killed us all instantly. At that depth, water should have flooded in and crushed us like tin cans. But it didn't. The water came in slow, thick, like oil. It moved around her, wrapping her in tendrils, lifting her gently, almost reverently, out of the vessel. Her body didn't implode. It just vanished into the darkness. The rest of us panicked. Carter was hyperventilating, hitting every button on the panel. Lewis screamed for surface comms that no longer existed. I just froze. I watched the doorway, waiting for the water to burst through and end it all. But instead, something entered. It didn't have form, not one that made sense. A shifting shape, more absence than presence, like smoke underwater. And the sound returned, louder now. Not a hum, but a voice. A whisper made of countless tongues. It didn't speak words, but I understood it. All of us did. It was a memory. Ancient, endless. It had been watching long before humans ever crawled from the land. And now we had come too close. Carter lost his mind first. He tore off his headset, clawing at his own skin, screaming about something climbing inside. Blood streamed from his nose and ears. Then he collapsed, twitching. Gone. Lewis turned the emergency thrusters on full power. He jammed the controls with a wrench and screamed for me to hang on. I don't know how, but something gave. The vessel moved, just a few feet, but it was enough. The thing holding us shifted, like it had been distracted. Then it screamed. Not a sound, but a tearing sensation in our minds. I felt part of myself break off, lost in the echo. But we rose, slowly, painfully. Lewis was bleeding from his eyes, but he didn't stop. I held Carter's body in place so it didn't crash against the walls. Every inch we gained, the silence changed. It turned from a vacuum into pressure, like the thing below was trying to claw us back. And then, at 18,000 feet, we lost Lewis. He shuddered once and slumped forward. His heart had given out. Just me now. Just me and whatever was still trying to drag us down. I don't remember the rest of the ascent. I must have blacked out. When I woke up, we were on the surface. The hatch was open. Daylight flooded in. A Navy recovery team stood over me, guns drawn. Their faces were pale, confused, terrified. They told me I'd been the only one left. The logs were corrupted, the data wiped. The air gear was dismantled and buried beneath 10 tons of lead and concrete. The official report says we experienced a catastrophic systems failure due to high pressure exposure. No mention of the entity. No mention of Rivas or Carter or Lewis. But I remember. I still have dreams of that whisper, that voice in the dark. Sometimes I wake up choking on salt water that isn't there. And sometimes I still hear her, Rivas, calling from beneath the drowning silence. She says it's not finished with me yet.